Good evening, campers, dreamers, and babysitters, and welcome to our trailer reaction for Scream 6. Alrighty, Luke, the day is upon us. We did post some shorts earlier this morning, kind of going through our initial thoughts, but that's just par for the course as things go on the channel here, especially for these big movies. For the smaller ones, normally it's just kind of one or the other who does the little reaction. But on these bigger ones, if it's like a Halloween or a Ghostface or a Jason, Lord willing, we're obviously both going to want to give our thoughts. And we want to get it to you as fast as we can. And then, of course, with our day to day life, everything kind of happening, we usually have to wait and kind of be one of the last of the pack to get this out there. But nonetheless, we are here. It is Scream Day. Luke, I know we weren't big fans of the last one.
True.
How you feeling about this one? Just before you saw the trailer, and then we'll discuss after when we go through it.
They had those stills that had come out a few weeks ago. You kind of covered them as I was absent for that Sunday Scaries. So you've hear the conceptual things that are going on, a lot of the questions that are being raised, and we don't really know where this one's going to go. It piqued my interest. I'll be honest. It felt a little different. I hope they were bringing something new to the table. I was I was a supporter of changing the setting, because I think we've done so much with Woodsboro. I mean, what can you really make to feel different there? And I know they did that back in, which I think they ultimately, I feel like that movie floundered, but I think they brought some intriguing concepts with it being in Los Angeles. So I was hoping they would bring the same here, being in New York. And seeing this little teaser here, well, we only got a little taste. But I think they're really making use of it. I mentioned in my short, it feels like New York. It doesn't feel any other place. I think they're really leaning on that city of millions of people, no one can hear you scream type deal. So it's a different element. It's a different element of terror. And I think they that this teaser really brought that out. I think they picked a perfect location for it. So overall, with this little teaser trailer, I was pretty impressed.
Yeah, no, it's definitely got some good intensity. Of course, like you said, this is just a teaser, so we're really just now starting to see the imagery of kind of what to expect. Again, yeah, that New York setting is in full force here, really throwing that out front. I think they want people to get used to that. Real quick here, because even with the poster, we're using it as our little icon up there. They're really hammering in that this is taking place in good old New York City. So that I'm very curious to see what's going to happen here. I believe this is the only the second major slasher icon to go down this path. And the last one came to some mixed results, considering most of his time was spent on a boat just getting there. But that doesn't seem to be the case here, at least from this teaser. And Lord willing, I hope it's not a road trip to New York, and then the last 10 minutes are this teaser we got. That would be that I couldn't fathom that.
Yeah, and that takes Manhattan. It's a huge critique there, and I mean overall, I have a soft spot for that film because it's something I watched growing up. But overall, that film is not great at all. But I will say, once they get to what is supposed to be New York in that film, it kind of does pick up a little bit, because that's what you had been wanting. I think this is a great concept into really adding a different dynamic, especially when you're going into the sixth installment into a franchise of it's hard to same place and continue that story. So it's like plucking the kids out, placing them in a new city and a whole bunch of different elements, along with Ghostface or multiple Ghost Faces, depending on where they're going to go with it. Um, Seems to be a very intriguing concept. I just really hope they're able to pull that trigger and sustain the suspense that they had, in this little brief 1 minute thing, as we had said. I think I had a lot of high hopes for Scream 5 that were never fully realized, sitting in that theater. And it's one that I still have yet to revisit, because it's just one of those. It was a painful disappointment for me. So I'm hoping we kind of recalibrate from my eyes with Scream 6. Again, very small taste, but they seem to be heading in the right direction, at least from this one scene that we've seen.
Yeah, and I also was not a huge fan of five. It's something that we've teased on here that we are going to be getting into a little bit more when we get closer to this film coming out. Which this is going to be something we're going to be getting to see in March, I believe. Right? That's when they said this is coming out.
Yes. Yep. I
So
think it's the
yeah,
10th, maybe.
yeah, not too far along. But we're gonna definitely have to dive into that and kind of see, our thoughts and feelings on at least that and possibly the first film. I know we kind of had a conversation in a little prep meeting a few weeks ago, kind of deciding how you're going to tackle this. So we're at least going to promise the fifth one. We'll see about the others. We'll get there. We might save those for when inevitably, I believe, Scream 7 will be on its way around the corner. So unless this completely bombs. But I have a hard time believing that. So why not? Let's dive into the trailer here. Let's take a look and see what's going on.
Let's do it.
Let's take a gander. Gotcha. Yeah, so they're really, again, leaning heavily into the New York setting, getting that out in front. Really digging the whole Halloween setting here. I know there's a lot of references. Then we'll kind of poke through some of those. And I think it is smart, especially because it's a teaser. You're getting your big faces in front of it, but you're just focused on one scene. We see a lot of teasers which try to cut so much into nothing, and it's just ridiculous and kind of unnecessary. But
And I think they
this,
picked a fun scene here.
yes, I'm very curious to see how this goes. I know a lot of people are scared for one of our new people here. Forgive me, I forget her name. We'll refresh before we see it. And then, of course, the Scream mask. There's a big debate going on with this right now, which we'll talk about. But let's rewind that, and we'll kind of go piece by piece here, breaking down our little thoughts and feelings on it. Obviously, we only have 59 seconds here, so there's not going to be a whole lot to say. But I think we can pull some good references and whatnot. So yeah, obviously, the Halloween setting again. I'm enjoy that. I don't think we've had a Scream movie take place on a holiday yet, have we?
No, not that I recall. And in this one, kind of, I had to do my research for a second because I was like, "Wait, this is Halloween," and then it's coming out in March. I was like, "Okay, we're going for it." So, I think that's a great element to add to this. I mean, it works for the actual Halloween franchise as well. So no one's really going to think twice about seeing a Ghostface in the subway. So it's kind of one of those, you get lost in the shuffle. There's so much going on, you don't really think of anything, and then like I said in my short, you don't know who's a threat or who is a threat. So I think it's a fun idea to play with here.
Really leans into that everybody is a suspect angle
Yes.
that we're so used to with this series. But let's take a gander here. We have David Bowie making an appearance there. I know a lot of people are pointing him out. I'm not sure if this gentleman is supposed to be anything specific. I just think of Shere Khan from Mortal Kombat.
Oh,
But
there we go.
that could just be me. And
They
then
should
if
have had
did you see
Sub-Zero or
it?
Goro.
Did you see back here those little the little coveralls there, red hair, and then the lady there with the makeup and the blonde hair?
No,
That's a
I
Chucky
have not.
reference, my boy.
Oh, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so they have to just load this thing up with as many
I
kind of
mean,
pop
why
culture
wouldn't
references
you?
as I could.
If you can get the rights to it to at least show it, it's why wouldn't you? And then check this out. So obviously we know Radio Silence is behind this film, right? And so look at that, the bride with the bullets draped around
Yep.
her.
Yep.
Clear Ready or Not reference. Love that. Good fun stuff there. I always appreciate a little cameo to their work. I believe this is a Ghostface over here. I didn't
So too. Yep.
I don't know if he moved. I'm gonna take it back just a second to see, because I just now kind of picked up on that. Maybe not. Could have been just a person. Yeah, I was talking about it in
And
my short. Oh, go ahead.
I'm assuming this is either the beginning, of the Halloween night or something like that, where it's like we're probably gonna be seeing a lot of ghost faces throughout this entire ordeal.
Because we also have to remember that it's not like they're doing the whole Jeffrey Dahmer thing here, where it's like there were real killings with this costume, but this is also based off a film franchise. So it's one of those things where it's like it's very common for this stuff to pop up in this universe, which I think just adds that extra
Yep,
creep factor. You saw a really good use of that with, Scream 2 with the movie theater and
yep,
everything there. I think that's when they used it at its best. This, I believe, clear indication that this is the Babadook. One of the ones I picked up on with the top hat and everything. And
yeah.
obviously, Jenna Ortega's character said that was her favorite flick in the last film. I do remember that. So,
Oh, classic.
oh yeah,
Classic line.
getting into that elevated horror route. Obviously, we got Pinhead there. Jason
Yes.
picking up
Had to
on
put
some
him on
good
the
stuff.
subway.
This is probably nothing, but this reminds me of Creep Show with Father's Day.
Yeah.
You think?
Yep.
You think maybe?
Or it's
Uh, Go ahead.
I think you're reaching, but, I I don't know. I mean, like, any of these could be anything, to be honest, because I think that's the fun with Halloween is, like, they can really just kinda dive really deep into their pop culture references here.
100%. But do you know what this is?
No. No clue. Is this
Exorcist. Her head's turned
Exorcist?
around.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yep.
Does she got vomit all over?
Yep. Very creative costume, actually. I was talking to a coworker about that one, and I was just like, man, I want to steal that. Like, that's such a good idea.
Guys?
But yeah, as we're kind of leading in here, I'm also curious about the angles in which this is coming from
Yeah.
because I don't know, it could be multiple people wearing, but that's the same Jason mask we saw, and now
Yeah.
it's a different ghost face. So maybe it's from another cart, maybe it's from behind them in some sense. But they kind of look like they were at the end of the cart, so I don't know. They're really playing with your perception
Yeah,
here. They
and
could have just had extras that got moved around, and this is just a shot they're using as well.
yeah, and this could be a passage of time, like you said, people getting on and off, even one ghost face from one instance moving to another, kinda sitting down and then looking, so maybe getting closer and closer, like they're kind of anticipating here and building.
Yes, and then I like this is like I believe this is Samara from The Ring.
Oh, okay.
Could be a stretch, but that's also one that I've heard. And I got to say, I'm not taking full credit for just knowing all these. Like, these are some I picked out myself.
Yeah,
But then also, I did watch 3C's video, and he pointed out a ton. So, like, I just know what to look for. So, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm an expert or anything.
I
But
did not
yeah,
look at
real
any of
sinister.
these.
Yeah, real sinister look here. Ghostface is building up, and then the power goes out. So it's like I'm wondering how they're accomplishing this, or if maybe they just went through a specific part of the tunnel.
Yeah,
And then yes, of
and then
course, we
I
get
think
attacked here.
I feel like it could be a tunnel situation right there, and then,
But it is a
popping up.
subway, so it's kind of like all underground, isn't it? Or no, I don't know. I didn't grow up around subways, so I don't they come out of the
Yeah,
ground?
I don't know 100% about subways either, but that could just be, with the immediate cuts, not anything like that. So that could have been coming out of a subway and going into a platform, where there are lights. So I don't know if that
Mm,
was the case or not, because they did play with that with Halloween Ends with Corey Cunningham. They cut it to make it look like it was all cohesive, but it was actually, I think, the night scene as opposed to a day scene, and they just made it all look like he was in the sewer at some time. So this could have been just cut to look like that.
we can't trust these filmmakers. Um, but yeah, and then this is like
I
kind of
never have.
the last. This is the kind of the last bit I want to touch on. So we know, or at least I know, just from leaks and things that have been said. Do you have any inkling of what the story is here before I dive into this?
I know that I seen the whole the original costumes go missing, like the masks, or I think it's masks or something like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they were playing with the idea of like a cult or anything like that. I had heard the idea of, I know that was tossed around for Scream 4. So I didn't know if that was going to be the case here as well. So that's all about, that's pretty much all I know.
Okay. So like the gist of what we seem to understand or what we're grasping is that again there is going to be some kind of element of all the original killers costumes being assembled, whether it's like a museum or something, and then the masks are stolen. And this is supposed
Be
to
the original.
represent the mask from the first film. Yes, because of all the degradation and everything. Very Halloween 2018-esque, as you can see. I think they're really leaning into that. And you know, I'm fine with it. I think it's cool. It is what it is. I just really want to see how it's gonna play into the story. I think that that's a neat concept if they have these masks from different eras kind of coming into it, all with different kind of aging or damages to them and things like that. That could be cool. I would really like to see them changing up the Ghostface mask a little bit because with them having stab and everything, it's like they already tease that there's all these different variations, and with it being on Halloween, it's like why not go crazy? You know what I mean? Just have these people switching masks and things like that consistently. And if there is two, maybe three killers, it's kind of like maybe the one who's kind of leading the charge, whoever that may be. Crossing my fingers that it's Stu. Maybe he's wearing the original mask.
Yeah, I don't think Scream fandom is going to let the stew theories die anytime soon until we actually get him in the franchise. Uh, for me, it's kind of like, hey, that's cool. Does it really add that much? Not necessarily, other than an obsession. If that's the route we're going to go and tell a story about that, great. Um, for me, one of the things that I've always liked about the idea of the Scream idea where Stu and Billy just picked up the costume from the convenience store, just how
Hmm.
Mike from a hardware store, and it's just something you get off the shelf. Anyone can anyone has access to it. So I kind of like that idea of it just being, um, available at any store that you go and pick it out of. I mean, this doesn't hurt it any. It doesn't really make me want to see it. But I think it's an interesting concept. I think we talked about it. I don't know how long ago it was, and I think we were talking about Scream, and I had mentioned that my idea would be that I would love a different tone of these things where we do fall into that line of obsession, and someone is not necessarily is wearing the ghost face mask, but maybe not the full get up, and is doing a more intentional, almost a Seven style of killings, just based on the obsessiveness of these past killers and things like that. I think that could be interesting. I don't think they're going to go that route here, but we'll see where this goes.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really interesting take on it. And I mean, they're going to have to switch up the formula at some point. I mean, they're already doing the setting here. Last little bit we can really just touch on is I do like the way that they're staggering this now with this. I think everybody is in agreement, considering I had a post I made on Twitter where I just was replying to somebody. I don't know if you kept up with that from a few weeks ago, where they were just like, oh, now they've ruined it because they just titled Scream 5 Scream. And all I did was take that image and color in the kind of the V and the M red. And everybody
Yes.
really liked it. Got like
Yeah.
50 something uh, upvotes, likes, whatever you want to call it. And so it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, yeah, I think that that would be a smart play from them to go back and just kind of retcon that and just make that the way they're going to do it. Because it's like, I think that that would uh, make a lot of people happy. Because I think like people are kind of sick of that. I think it was fine for Halloween, but even people were giving Halloween shit for that. Because it's like, all right, so we have Halloween and then Halloween and then Halloween kills and Halloween ends now. Like what's going on there? So it's like I
Yeah.
get it kind of falls into line with that requel kind of story that they were poking fun at, but just for consistency's sake, they could have easily just switched them all to Roman numerals here. And now everybody's like, well, how are they going to do Scream 7 then? And my thing was just because I think there was a set photo from a few months ago where originally I think the title was going to be Scream with 2 exclamation points. So kind of being
Yeah.
like Scream 2. Um, why don't they just add an exclamation point after Scream for Scream 7 and just keep the same thing they're doing for 6? Just my 2 cents in the matter. But has nothing to do with the trailer. So, Luke, how you feeling about this thing, all in all?
I'm intrigued by it. I'm actually a little excited for it. Scream for me, up until hitting Scream 5, I always felt like had a decent enough story. A lot of them were strong installments. I think there was prior to 5. I think that for me there was only one that I was not overly pleased with, and that was 3. Um, so I had expectations going into 5, and they weren't really met. But 6 here, for me at least, from this little taste here, and from what I am hearing, is very intriguing, and is something that I think could kind of right the of the ship here and get us on a good path. I'm intrigued to see what they're going to be bringing to the table. This feels different. Granted, it's only a minute trailer here, but it feels unique. It feels different than a lot of the other things that we've gotten. I like the build up, the suspense in the subway scene here. So overall, I can't wait till March. I want to be sitting down, give this thing a full watch, and hopefully, I leave with a high mark for this film.
No, absolutely. And we'll be doing some massive Scream coverage come, end of February, early March there, because it is coming out on the 10th. So it is one of those things where we're just gonna kind of have to roll right into it. But we'll at least be talking, like we said, 5 for sure. Probably the original, we'll have them in some capacity there. Just because those are the ones that we feel are most important as of right now. And then yeah, we'll save the others for, like we said, the inevitable Scream 7. I know they said they're trying to do a trilogy, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see that. Considering it was kind of spoiled with all the drama that surrounded this film and its early production, with Nev Campbell, that they wanted her to have a minor role here and then come back for a major one again. So it's kind of like, I think we are going to get that trilogy. And I do see this one doing really well. The last one was really well received. A lot of people that I talk to still really love it. I mean, I have the damn thing digitally. I bought it, still haven't watched it again. So I'm curious to go back. I am, and see, maybe now that I've had some time, some separation, maybe I'll find a little more into it. But I don't know. I just feel like the way that film decided to wrap up, I really fell off with. It's kind of just one of those things where I'm like, "Ah, why are we doing this again?" It's like, and I think for a series that is so hell bent on, kind of riffing and kind of, taking the whole style of what the current day horror is, for them to just kind of fall back into what was just what we expect from a Scream movie, it did let me down. It was one
Yeah.
of those things where I'm just like, yeah, but we will save that for another time.
Yes, we
I
will.
think that's going to wrap us up here for our Scream 6 trailer talk. Let us know how you guys feel about this one. Obviously, we had a good bit to say, even from just 59 seconds here. So when that full trailer drops, we'll have probably another 40 minutes or so just sitting here gushing, talking about it. Because regardless of how we feel, I think it's easy to say we're both still pretty big Scream fans. We do love our Ghostface. We love our
Absolutely.
Sydney. We obviously love our Stu. Lord willing, hopefully he comes back soon. Mostly just because we fucking love Matthew Lillard, man. Like, needs to be in more movies, especially horror. I want to see a Matthew Lillard
Absolutely.
renaissance. Um, but already, other than that, you guys can check us out on our social medias at SplattercastPod on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And we also just had a pretty cool video drop earlier today with the interview of the Mean One director. Yeah, we talked to him for about an hour. Really cool video. People seem to really be responding well to it. If you're just finding us here, definitely check that one out. And hey, if you feel like it, maybe hit that subscribe button. We got a lot of great horror content coming your way. We are into December to Dismember. So from here on to Christmas Day, there's going to be a lot of great content, all Christmas horror based, coming your way, as well as an announcement for an upcoming live stream. So definitely keep it here, keep it fresh. And yeah, I guess that about wraps us up. So until next time, I'm Dylan Newell.
And I'm Luke Janesco.
And remember, stay scared.